Okay, so thank you all for joining us today. Express Offers Agent Success Mastermind. Today is a very cool edition of our mastermind. I was able to track down a super productive agent who really understands it from my perspective, really understands how to play in both lanes, right? Play and work and serve investors, but also knows how to go out and find to help motivated sellers. So super excited about today. Let me get started with opening this up for any wins. Is there any wins that anyone wants to share over the last week or so since we've met that they want to share with the group?
I just finished my second sale through Open Door.
I was hoping you shared that. I was hoping you share that. So yeah, I saw that come through. I saw that you got your closing and everything. So congratulations to you. I will ask, and I guess maybe I guess since you're here, it's fine. I will ask if you are up for doing a video testimonial on Express Offers and how it's been
Absolutely.
working in your business. That will be great.
Absolutely. I want to make a comment on this sale.
Okay.
First of all, we did it, and this is my second one with Open Door. It was a great offer. Once again, it was really easy and smooth, and it was a really good solution for my client because we were in escrow for a new build and had honestly no idea when she was going to close on that new build. And she did not want to be homeless. So Open Door let us have a 90-day escrow window that we could adjust for free. I think we could adjust it maybe I think 3 to 4 times. We only needed to adjust it once, but we gave them a 7-day notice. And we were able to line it up where she only ended up moving once. So it was an excellent solution for her. It was excellent. So anyway, thanks.
Love to hear that. And I guess as we hear more stories, right, more testimonials, what you'll hear from most of the agents is that there was some type of factor, something that was going on with the seller as to why this was a great scenario for them. And so when we think about Express Offers, especially in the beginning stages of our conversations, a lot of times the sellers don't tell us all of the details until we give them what the value is that we have to offer. Then all of a sudden stuff starts coming out and you're like, hey, listen, this would be a great option for you. But I will say, put it in front of all of your sellers and use that as a way to learn more about their situation, their motivation. And if it fits, it fits. If not, at least you don't have to go to bed wondering if it would have been an opportunity that made sense. So Kate, thank you so much for sharing. Looking forward to getting that video testimonial. I'll share that we just onboarded a new buyer, pretty large buyer that's doing over 100 transactions a year, operating in Florida and Arizona. So you guys should be seeing buy sale holdings having buy boxes come up in the Florida and Arizona markets. Still looking for an agent out in the Columbus market for a buyer that we onboarded a couple of weeks ago. Really want to drive traffic and engagement to their buy boxes out in Ohio. They're mainly looking in Columbus, but they have their buy box open to all of the Ohio market. So if you know someone or if you're interested, reach out to me off of this call and we can go into some of the details. Is there anybody else that wants to share any wins from last week to this week? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys to Jordan.ray. Jordan, you're in Tennessee, correct?
Yeah, I'm in the Memphis market. I'm licensed in Tennessee and Mississippi.
Nice. So again, I'm super excited to have Jordan. I know he is investor friendly, and so I really wanted to create this opportunity for him to tell you about how he has been positioning convenience and how that's been helping him win business in his market. So Jordan, if you could just start off telling the group a little bit about you, how you got into real estate, and then we'll have some follow-up questions.
Sure. Yeah. So, Memphis market, licensed Tennessee, Mississippi, primarily work with investors, and I do a lot of listings. I've been recently doing REO, which cash offers don't necessarily work with REO. uh, and a lot of my investors actually come from bigger pockets. So there are a lot of them are out of state, ready to go. They love the Memphis market. Let's see what else. I I'm an Icon agent. I'm actually about to be 2x Icon. I got 2 more transactions to close. Both of those closed this week, and I'll be at 2x Icon. When it comes to like cash offers, did you want me to talk about that or?
Yeah, so that's a good segue. I know you said you do a lot of listings, you work with investors. Before we get into that though, tell me a little bit about why the investors are attracted to you, or what allows you to kind of bring that business in.
Yeah, it's really about value proposition, because I mean the reality is everybody works with investors, and when it comes down to it, especially knowing investors do multiple transactions, everybody's going to say, yeah, I'll work with an investor, but do they really know how to get down and really understand what the investors are looking for, and how to really bring the value to the investor that is more than what a regular agent would do. What I mean is, um, you know, uh, for example, contractors. If you're working with an investor and they've closed on a property, most agents are not going to go and go check on a house while they're renovating it. But an investor agent would. They would go do that because it's more of a relational kind of business, and you're trying to you're providing your value there. You can also get paid more to providing these type of services. Being able to go and check on contractors and making sure that they're doing the work they're supposed to, maybe doing a final walkthrough whenever the renovation's done. Also providing comps to appraisers whenever the investors are doing their refinance. That's a huge thing. Also being boots on the ground. A lot of out-of-state investors find it difficult to find an agent that is willing to go to the property physically. For some reason, that's such a huge thing. For some reason, a lot of agents that are investor friendly will take advantage of the investor, and they'll send somebody else, like a contractor. And then, as long as the numbers work, the contractor might they might miss things or whatever. And now you got issues where the investor has bought this property, and now the renovations increasing more than it would have if you just as an agent went out there and put eyes on the property. A lot of different things that kind of come into play.
So if I stopped you there, right? If we
Yeah.
went to just the part of being able to be boots on the ground, going and checking on the property in the renovation stage, I just want to make the point to say for the agent, right, who's going to take that listing and be responsible for getting that listing sold, it almost sounds like it's a no-brainer, but for some reason you and I can both say it's not, right? Like, based off of the investor's experience, based off of what I've read off my own experience, it's not a no-brainer for an agent to go out there. But if I'm going to give you a listing, right, if I'm going to give you the listing to put on the market, wouldn't it be in your best interest as the agent to make sure that everything goes accordingly, that so when we get ready to sell this thing, we don't have things pop up that we could have already taken care of in the beginning, right? So
exactly,
if you're wanting to work with investors, those are some of the things, some of the ways that you can add value. I love that. Talk to me a little bit about, okay, so you mentioned like the comps, being boots on the ground. Talk to me a little bit about going in and finding opportunities for these investors. Obviously you have the MLS, you have things that are on the market, but what do you do, or what are your strategies that help you stand out for those opportunities that may not be readily available on the MLS?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a lot of cold calls. I call a lot of expireds and for sale by owners. Expireds, they've already been on the market. In some cases, the homes could be listed pretty high and you just get a lower price. Sometimes you can add some value, let them know, like for me working with a bunch of investors, just letting them know, hey, I work with an investor. So if a cash offer is convenient, and I'll only bring it up on houses where it makes sense, where just as an investor, I'm also an investor myself, just kind of knowing what investors are looking for, I might bring it up if this looks like a subject property that would fit one of my clients. And then on top of that, I'm losing myself here. Let's see. So yeah, and I call expireds, FSBOs, and then also do Z buyer. So, and then Z buyers are usually some of the more common cash offer requests. They'll get an ad or whatever and they request a cash offer. A lot of them are a little thrown off because they, what you notice is that a lot of them are just trying to see what their value is. So maybe they're trying to find another way to look instead of just looking at Zillow. So you can provide value to those sellers by bringing them a cash offer or giving them a CMA to see what their value looks like. And then quite a few different ways to, bring them a cash offer would be one, my network of investors. Two, I'm an investor myself. Three, actually ExpressOffers. And then four, I use a system called iList. And so iList, they do some crazy offers on there. And so those are definitely some ways to bring some value to a seller, especially if they don't want to go through the hassle of listing and going through the whole thing.
When you're looking at those expireds, you mentioned, if it potentially stands out or if it makes sense, what type of things are you looking for when you're kind of doing some of that initial like pre-qualification?
Yeah. So obviously, you mentioned it in the beginning, kind of briefly, seller motivation. It really comes down to that. If the seller is willing to hold off, for a market value offer, or if they need to sell really quick and they're willing to let it go. And a lot of times half of what the value would be if it, was in good condition or whatever it is. In a lot of cases, investors are buying property 50 cents on the dollar. And so, you're looking at half of the value in most cases. And so finding sellers that are willing to do that, obviously a couple different situations that would be, foreclosures or divorce or whatever, or it could just be maybe they didn't take care of the house and got too far along and they can't upkeep it and they don't want to spend the money to fix it up. A couple different things that I look for in my market might be very different in other markets. I look for houses that kind of fit the 1% rule, which is where the rents will kind of match the purchase price if they're turnkey, and then the 1% rule would work for your all in on your purchase and your renovation, and having a cash flow spread after the end of that. And so that's one way. And then obviously the other is it's famous in my market. Other markets might be a little different. But in my market, the BRRRR method, which is buy, you renovate, you rent the property and then you refinance. So that's a very common strategy. Yeah. So those, just kind of looking out for those kind of things and just being an investor agent, I'm able to identify those opportunities going on the listing appointment.
Let me see.
Looks like Gina.
Yes. Go ahead. Unmic.
Yeah. Are you DSCR lender too?
No, I'm not a lender. I'm just an agent.
Oh wow. Okay. And do you know any hard monies in your area in Memphis that do 100% if you're under 70% LTV?
Yeah, actually I do. Are you asking that as like you already know this answer, or do you seriously don't know? Because I feel like you asked a direct question that most people don't even know that even exists.
I mean, I know because I've done it twice now, and I've been looking at Memphis as a market, but the agent I've been working with doesn't necessarily seem to know anyone or be that connected on the investor side. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, understood. Yeah, we have a couple different hard money lenders in Memphis that do 100%, but there's only one that I really use. I actually use them for myself when I'm buying property. You can look up Avalon Capital, and they're 100% purchase and rehab. So typically you'll pay points up front, which is 5 points,
Yeah.
and then the 5 points. Usually it sounds like a lot, but when you do your math, you're less than $10,000 at closing. So you're out of pocket. You got no down payment. So you're just 5 points and then title fees. And then you paying your mortgage payment, which is usually 12% interest, paid 1% monthly. So if you got like a purchase price of, and I'm giving you some numbers on a recent deal I just did, purchase price of 85 and a 40K rehab, you got 125,000 all in. 125,000, cut off 2 zeros, and 1,250 is my monthly payment. And so a lot of times if you do it that way, your cash on cash return can be really high. And so I actually teach that to a lot of my out-of-state investors, and they come in and they get, you do it right, you get a cash on cash return of like 40% or more. So
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So the conversation just got a little advanced, right?
Yeah.
And and it's, I know that she knows this stuff. She operates in the investor space, so not advanced for her at all. But what I want to bring it back to a more broader conversation. Talk to me a little bit about how understanding the lingo and understanding these key words and key terms and these phrases. Talk to me about how it works. Or how it benefits you on both sides when you're dealing with investors, but then also being able to talk to homeowners and break those concepts that may be a little bit more complicated or complex. How you're able to kind of communicate that to a seller.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I'm breaking down the numbers to help a seller understand where they need to price at. A lot of times you can get a really good price listing. If you're able to explain what you'll see a lot of, you'll have agents that'll list a distressed property and it might be overpriced, and they didn't do it on purpose. They just, couple things. They don't know how much it costs to renovate the property. And, as an investor agent, you see enough distressed property, you get an idea after a while. You can kind of look at a property and put a range on it without even being a contractor. You just kind of throw a range on the property for renovation. So with that, and then also knowing how investors structure their offers, you can kind of know where to price at. And a lot of times if you do it that way and you explain that to the seller and you're able to break it down, down by the numbers, a lot of times they'll be willing to price that way, and you'll find that you'll actually get your sellers more, because then you'll have investors bidding over the property. And then now it's selling at numbers that wouldn't actually make sense for an investor, but you still have that one investor that's willing to pay that. And so it's pretty cool if you're able to break it down and explain it that way. Then your sellers actually make more money.
Yeah, I think that's such a valid point, because one thing I know, like here in my market, is if I go and get a bid for work, for any type of work, the numbers are going to be all over the place, right? Like every contractor has their own, let's say, for lack of better words, like algorithm or whatever they're looking at as far as pricing. So when you're able to explain it to a seller to where they can understand it and price the house correctly, that's where then the power of the MLS comes into play. Because now, more investors are seeing it, but you may run into that investor that's able to say, okay, that quote, a bid of 30,000, because I'm a contractor and I'm going to do a lot of the work myself, I can get a $30,000 quote down to 12 or 15, and now I can pay a little bit more for that property. So being able to understand the numbers in that type of just general high level way, where you can present it also to a seller for them to get it, it only helps you as the listing agent to either price it correctly, aggressively on the market, or now you're able to say, hey, Mr. Seller, if we actually were to do some work in the kitchen or update your bathrooms, here's what we can expect, because you have a great understanding of how the market is reacting. So that's a major takeaway for sure.
Also had one other recent situation that kind of reflected this with bank-owned properties. If any of y'all work REO, they usually have you do a broker price opinion, which is basically the median between a CMA and appraisal. And so on the broker price opinion, if it's a house that needs to be priced to investors, I will actually break those numbers down. With my experience of working with investors and all the things we just talked about, I'll actually write out that stuff in the BPO. That way, when the bank is reviewing the BPO, they know that they got a price this way because that's how investors structure their offers. And I actually listed a house in Cordova, Tennessee, that was priced in such a way that it had 88 showings and 14 offers. And that was a couple months ago. And it was just because I was able to break that down to them.
Nice. Love it. Brittany asks, would you recommend getting a contractor to determine repair costs before pricing the property with the seller? Is that something you do, have done?
I think it's a waste of time. The contractors are going to be all over the place. And at the end of the day, if you get a contractor, they get overly excited thinking that they're going to get a bid to repair a property from a homeowner. A lot of times, if you have a contractor that's not investor savvy, they will try to take advantage. I mean, it's not saying anything bad about contractors, but they'll take advantage of the opportunity to make more money. And so contractors, will typically price higher. And then now if you price higher, now your seller has to price even cheaper, and now you won't even get the listing. So it's better to just kind of know. And so that, that really kind of helps if you can have that experience.
Did you have any of the, let's say, like table back of the napkin math that you use for renovations? I know, like, for instance, like breaking it down light, moderate, heavy based off of the square footage. Is that anything? Are you doing anything like that?
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that. I got a sheet. I'm actually looking at it right now. I got a pin board right behind my desk, and I got this cost of renovations sheet, and it's estimation, and it breaks it down between light, average, and heavy. And I found it to be pretty accurate in most situations. Now I do adjust it based on the market and certain scenarios, but I do have a thing I could probably share with people if they wanted.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you I'm not going to ask to steal your thunder, but for sure, if you guys are interested in that, reach out.
I don't mind. I'll drop it in here. Let me find it.
And so, okay, so that's one way. Also, I know Curbio is not in every market, but guys, Curbio actually has an app for you to go on and kind of get a broad quote of what renovations and things cost. So keep in mind, Curbio is a tech company. And so, like, to Jordan's point, their quotes are probably a little higher, but at least it's third party, and it's something that you can refer to and not have to waste a bunch of time in order to get those that information. So leverage the Curbio app if you don't already have that. Jordan, I know you said you do a lot of cold calling. You're calling expireds, FSBOs. Would you be open to doing a role play on one of those?
You talking about like
one of us, either myself or I'll see if there's a volunteer to be a seller, just to hear how you present your value to these people on the phone.
Sure, I don't mind. I've never done that before, but sure.
Is there anybody that wants to be a homeowner? Nobody? You're not going to take advantage of this opportunity to be the homeowner? Okay, thank you, Glenda. I appreciate you.
I'm a homeowner. I'll be a homeowner, Jordan.
All right. Give me just some random address and put it in the chat.
Oh, 123 Main Street.
I knew you were going to say that. Hey, is this Glenda?
Yes. Who's this?
Hey, Glenda. My name is Jordan. I'm a realtor. Before you hang up, I was hoping to ask you a quick question about the home that you have for sale. Would that be okay? A lot of
Sure.
times what they say right here is, oh, I didn't have a home for sale, or I don't have a home for sale because I said it too fast. Oh, no. I seen your house come off the market. Wasn't sure if you'd sold it privately or if it was still available by chance.
I wasn't trying to sell it right now. I want to take it off and rest. Didn't get the results that I wanted.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm shocked because homes like yours typically sell right away. Let me ask you this. I'm not sure if it makes sense or not, but if you had an offer at the price and terms you're looking for, is it too late?
No, if you got the right price.
Got it. Now, I'm curious, when your previous agent was updating you, what did they say was keeping the home from selling?
I really didn't. They blame the market. I really didn't get a lot of feedback other than that.
I hear that a lot. Well, based on what I can see, the home looks great. Is it an option to just stay put?
Yeah, it's always an option to stay here and just wait till the market improves.
Gotcha. So I'll pause there. By the way, that question helps me determine motivation. So if you did say something like that, I'd realize you're probably not really motivated.
Okay.
In a perfect world, when did you plan on moving originally?
Before spring break. That way, it could be an easier transition for the kiddos, but now it just depends.
Gotcha. Well, before I let you go, can I make a quick recommendation?
Sure.
Listen, it's totally up to you, but if you want, I'd be happy to stop by one day this week. And then when I'm there, I can show you a completely new strategy that I'm using with clients right now to sell homes just like yours. And then you could decide if potentially hiring me makes sense or not. And if not, that's totally fine. Is that something you'd be opposed to?
Maybe. Can you tell me how these cash offers work? I've never.
I didn't even say anything about a cash offer.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if they say something like that, I mean, if I'm reading off that line there, they might say something along the lines of, maybe I'm not really sure or whatever, or maybe they'll say something like, I'm not going to list with an agent this time. And then I'll say, okay, well, let's face it. I know the only way you'd even consider hiring me, and I'm not saying that you should, is if you felt 100% confident that I could sell your home for the price that you wanted or more. Am I right? And,
Right.
They might say, well, yeah, I'm okay. Well, looking at my calendar, so I'm going ahead and trying to book an appointment. Well, looking at my calendar, I don't know if I can, but if I can move some client meetings around that I already have scheduled for tonight, letting them know that I'm busy, would you be able to make that work? And a lot of times they may say yeah, or they'll give me another time when they're available, and then we'll book for that time. If they do say they're available for today, I have 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Which one would be better? So you're giving them a couple options. And then they pick one, and then go ahead and put it on the calendar. And then I don't even usually get to this part, but this is on the script. It says, okay, so here's what I'll do when I hang up. I'll send you an email with a copy of my resume that will answer most of the questions you probably have about me, including my marketing plan. Can you do me a favor and review that prior to our meeting? And then, you just send that stuff to their email or whatever. And a lot of times I usually do a follow-up call an hour prior. So if I do get to this line on the call, I'll ask them if they've reviewed that before I show up. And if they have and they're still good with the appointment, a lot of times it lets me know, hey, I might have a listing. And then I'll say, okay, great. Well, if for some reason I can't reschedule my meeting with my other client, I'll let you know. Glenda, if there's anything on your end that comes up and we need to move our meeting, will you let me know?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great. I'll see you soon.
Awesome.
Let's clap it up for Glenda and Jordan, everybody. Let's clap it up. Let's clap it up.
This script, this guy that does these scripts, I'll tell you his name. He's on YouTube, but he posts these scripts and he updates them like once a year. But this one's from like a couple of years ago, and the one that he keeps updating it, and it's getting worse and worse, the script. And I've just stuck with this one, and this one has actually, this script is why I'm about to be a 2X icon.
So there's just a lot of things about that script that I like. One, you kept everything pretty general. You created some curiosity, and then you went for the close. So I think anytime you can do that, and even squeeze a little bit about motivation. Hey, where were you looking to go? When did you want to be there? Type of things. Because to me, motivation is not just one thing, right? Like, I don't think we can go out and say to a seller, hey, what's your motivation for selling? And then we get the answers that we were looking for. Like, to me, it's always the where, the why, and the when. And if we can get those three things, then have a pretty good idea of what the motivation is. And so that the script that you just had kind of try to squeeze a lot of that information out. So I appreciate you doing that. We're at 30 minutes. I want to see if there are any other questions. I want to open it up. If not, I want to give Jordan some of his time back and again, just go from there. But does anybody, I know we have close to 20 people on the call. Does anybody have any questions for Jordan and how he's running his business right now? If you search him actually on Facebook, you'll actually see a lot of his marketing does go out and tell people, hey, if you want a cash offer, if you're looking for a cash offer, like he puts that in almost like, I don't know, Jordan, what'd you say? Almost all of your marketing posts, like with properties you've sold or stuff that's coming soon. I mean, a lot of that has that cash offer marketing and messaging in it, correct?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I actually have a $4 admin that I'm paying. She's a virtual assistant in the Philippines that's making all those posts.
That's why there's so many of them. Yeah.
I don't have time to post that much. She's literally posting all hours of the day. If I don't have her doing something, that's her job, is marketing.
Cool. Gina, your hand's up. Go ahead.
All right. So aside from Z Buyer or like expireds or for sale by owner, are there any other like prospecting places that you would recommend to try to find like motivated sellers?
It's really tricky because it's really hard to get sellers otherwise, unless you're just doing some things like home seller seminars, and maybe you got a booth set up at a fair where you're trying to get people to come over and see what their home value is. I don't know. You can get really creative on different ways to do it. But what I found, you can also door knock. But what I have found that's the most effective, takes the least amount of time, and has the highest conversion is cold calling. And then calling people who have already raised their hand. Expired.
And are you doing like Red X and anything like that, like for rent by owner, or are you pulling lists? Or are you basically mostly on expireds?
Yeah, I use Mojo Dialer, and they have an expired subscription, and it just pulls in every morning at 8 o'clock. It updates with the new expireds, I call them.
Cool.
Wholesalers. It's a good question. Man,
That's a question with the EXP, right? But no, go ahead. I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. So it's really funny. I actually was a wholesaler before I got into being a real estate agent. Before I got my license, I did wholesale. And so with being a wholesaler, it kind of makes me, as an agent now, I actually am against wholesalers because I know how we ran our business. But I'm not necessarily against them in a way where I don't even talk to them or whatever. I mean, I still am open to a value proposition that a wholesaler wants to bring. Like, they get me on the phone, I'll listen to what they have to say, but I'll know if they really know what they're doing or not because I've been a wholesaler before. As far as wholesalers go, I never let them take my listings because wholesalers, I mean, the reality is, in order for them to assign the contract, they need to get it lower than what it's listed for. So I'd be doing my seller a disservice. Obviously, if they present an offer and it's legit, I'll present it. But a lot of times wholesalers will just send you an email and they're like, hey, I want to take over your seller's payments. I'll pay $200 a month to your seller and I'll come in with $1,000 down. It's like, no, come on, kick rocks, man. It's now when it goes back to, I'll circle this back around. if you wanted to be an agent and be a wholesaler too, that's another topic. That was actually one of the reasons why I picked EXP, because that was allowed. But I think you have to have a separate LLC open for your wholesaling. You got to have a separate business insurance set up. You got to have all that stuff registered through EXP, and then you have to run your deals through EXP as well, which will help your capping and help you. You can still icon by wholesaling property, which is crazy. But so after a while, I ended up deciding that focus on just being a real estate agent wasn't. That's why I no longer do wholesaling. It just strictly focusing all my energy on being an agent.
So to add a little bit of color there, like for me, I'm Jordan. We must have talked about this in the past, but I started off wholesaling as well, and so when I look at wholesaling and understand it, it is like one of those things where I'm like, man, the seller's paying so much more in fees, where like my compensation as an agent would be a lot less just representing the seller. Now, could I potentially bring a buyer to the opportunity and collect additional fees? Absolutely, right? Like that's definitely a part of it. But the one thing that I'll take away from my time as a wholesaler is the intentional marketing, right? Being very intentional about getting your message in front of people who are actually likely going to want to convert or want to hear your value prop. Still, even in my time as a wholesaler, still most of the sellers wanted more retail value. So being an agent, I still had more to offer them than a traditional wholesaler. So if there was anything I would have us take away is we don't necessarily have to look at them and say, oh, and make a determination of whether they're good or bad. But what we can do is really leverage their model in a sense of who are they marketing to? What is the messaging that they're putting in front of? What are their systems? What does it look like when they talk to someone from that initial conversation to the end contract? I actually like to call ExpressOffers like gentrified wholesaling, right? we're still going out, we're looking for those motivated sellers, but we're doing it with the intent to help the seller maximize their value. But we still have to be very intentional about going and finding those people and putting this offering in front of them. So don't have anything bad to say about wholesalers, but I would say I hope that we all can learn to be that and learn to really go out there and put ourselves in position to be in front of those people. Go ahead, John.
Yes. When do you make your cold calls? When do you find the most effective to make those calls, and how many hours a day do you dedicate to it?
So when I first started off cold calling, I used to do it every day from 8:30 to 12:30. And then now I do it 8:30 to 11:30, 5 days a week. Obviously right now I'd be cold calling, but Terrence pulled me into this thing. So
I did. And if I would have known that I was taken away from your cold calling time, I might have just asked us to do a recording, but I do appreciate you moving your day around for this. It is definitely appreciated for sure.
Yeah, no worries. Jeremy Galloway asked me if I pay for Bigger Pockets lead. Yes, I do. You can, if you want to be on there, what market are you in?
Yeah, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. Every time I get, actually someone from Bigger Pockets reached out to me again this past week regarding leads and getting being an agent for them. It just seemed like the cost of leads are kind of expensive compared to other platforms like Z Buyers and everything. So
what are they charging you now? I know I got on, it was much cheaper.
You talking about Z Buyer?
Bigger Pockets. What are they trying to?
They were saying $50 a lead.
$50 a lead? So you're, I imagine it's a package of 25, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been over a year since I've probably beyond a year since I went over their whole process and everything. But the last time it was $50, and yeah, there was a package of leads. It may have been 20, 25 leads at one given time, and once they are done with that, you can always renew.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I just did my math. I was thinking something else in my head. Yeah, I spend $50 a lead. They're really high converting leads though, especially if you know. Going back to the beginning of the call, I don't know if you were on here. Bringing value to investors, and so if you know how to do that, they'll convert well.
Yeah. Well, my biggest thing is, again, I don't know if you experience this too, is that if anybody finds me through Bigger Pockets, it's typically first time out of state investors that really don't know what they're looking for when it comes to their numbers. Like, hey, that they're not getting me kind of like an idea of what they want to net on their profit or net on their rentals every month, or not really understanding different zip codes, stuff like that. So I feel like I've got to almost got to educate them just to get them started. And they find that they can't make the numbers that they're hoping for in Birmingham because they listen to all the flowery stories of bigger pockets. So I feel like it's me either babysitting or me kind of telling them the reality of investing even in Birmingham. So it just seems like if I'm paying $50, it's going to be a lot of time wasting on novel investors for the most part. Is that kind of the experience you're getting, or are you getting some more?
It's mixed. So it's
experience?
mixed. Yeah. So I would say that you just have to really hone in on it because the investors, they definitely, so a lot of them do need their hand holding. But I will tell you that I've gotten some pretty good leads off of there too. I actually sold an entire package of properties last year that came as a Bigger Pockets lead. And I mean, they was a seller, so you get seller leads off of there too from time to time. And I sold that entire package on one day. And that was awesome. And so that was definitely worth my money. But you got to look at it another way too. I don't know what you charge for your commission or whatever, and we're not going to get on a commission subject, but for me,
do it. Let's get on it.
No, but for me, if I sell one of those 25, if I even just convert one of those 25, it was worth it, because even just selling one house out of the batch of 25 they give you, I already make a profit. And so you just got to look at it that way. Now, if you hone in on it and you find the true and tried strategy in your market in Birmingham, I assume I've heard Birmingham before. Y'all do a lot of BRRRR down there too, right?
Yeah. So that's one of the things is that we've got a lot of rental properties right at the $100,000 mark that are like, again, rent ready, 3-1s, and everything. So that's kind of the biggest thing is just cash flowing properties in Birmingham. A lot of BRRRR strategies for sure.
Build you a team and build your relationships with, contractors, property management companies, hard money lenders, conventional lenders. Get that party of people together and build a vendor list, and then source these people to help the investors scale. And so whenever you put together a cookie cutter method that's easy for these newer investors to follow, where it's just kind of like laying it out for them. A lot of times you don't really need to figure out where their strategy is, because if you tell them, if they tell you, hey, I'm going to do BRRRR, it's like, okay, here, we're going to follow this route. And then if they want to follow, if they don't want to do any renovation and maybe they're scared of it or whatever because they're out of state, whatever they say, then you can run them down the 1% rule route. And so I got two different kind of angles I hit them at. I don't really do a lot with fix and flippers in Memphis. There's not really a whole lot of them. And so I think I've heard Nashville is the closest one I know of where they do a lot of fix and flips. And so that's a whole different thing. But I'd say definitely just build a good team up, and then really just hone in on that strategy. But really convert one out of the batch of 25 and you've already made a profit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good news. Yeah, I've not really had anybody that I've been able to kind of pick the brain on the Bigger Pockets leads. But again, $50 compared to I think Z Buyer, they're about anywhere from $15 to $20 a lead. Yeah. Maybe a little bit less. I can't remember what my rates are. But again, it was just thinking about, okay, I've got $100,000 property where I've got to convert at least one out of this batch. And again, a lot of hand holding. I just thought about not having time for that, but maybe worth a shot.
I would give you a different perspective too. When you look at the Bigger Pockets leads versus Z Buyer, really the Z buyer leads are the ones that have that need the handholding, because a lot of them are are thinking they might want to sell, but they don't want to sell, or whatever the case is, and they're just longer conversion, like they have a longer conversion cycle than bigger pockets leads do. So you can kind of look at it that way. I definitely would pay the $50 a lead to bigger pockets than $15 a lead to Z buyer any day.
Yeah. Good point.
Any other questions, concerns? Again, leverage this space. Jordan have given it to us on both sides of the spectrum. So working with investors to help them buy. But with that being said, the value a lot of times is being able to bring them opportunities. So he definitely knows how to go out and source some of these opportunities, whether it's the Z buyer leads he's talking about, or some of the cold calling. We've ran through a script. So just please, if you have any questions, this is the great time for that. If not, I want to let us all get back to our days. I know it's precious, the time.
I got a couple things I'll do, and just out of the kindness of my heart, I wasn't able to drop the estimated repairs in the chat thing that I was talking about earlier. So if anybody wants to just message me on Workplace, I'll be willing to pass out the estimated repair sheet and also my scripts that I use for sellers.
Awesome. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, and again, this might be. You mentioned a comment earlier about doing wholesale assignments and still running it through EXP, correct?
Yeah, it was when I first got started with EXP. That's one of the reasons why I picked them, because they were going to allow me to do that, and then I ended up not doing that anyways. But EXP,
well, the biggest question for me is, if there is, because it's kind of the same thing. Moved to Birmingham in 2016, was a wholesaler for about 3 years, and then got my license. Was with KW, then EXP, and was just curious about what that process looks like on the compliance side when it comes to wholesaling fee and kind of what information they need from compliance. I mean, obviously you don't have an agency agreement there because you're a part of that process and that transaction. So I'm just kind of curious if you ever went through the transaction as a wholesale deal, what was that considered? Is it considered maybe a referral fee? Maybe, I don't know.
So they just ran it like you would run it like you're doing personal transactions, like you're buying, except they're going to take a split. So you're still paying your 80-20 split up to your cap, but you're disclosing to sellers that you're an agent. So that's for one. Sure. Second, they require you to have a business insurance, and then the other, you can set up an LLC and make offers in the LLC. You don't have to use Tennessee. You don't have to use your standard contracts either. You can use a retailer contract or whatever, or an attorney drafted contract. You just have to make sure to sift all that stuff through EXP and make sure that they. Now, I can imagine that would probably be a compliance headache with all the Sky Slope warriors in there, but you know what I mean. So
and real quick on the insurance, I've got a $1 million umbrella policy with myself. So is that something that they're kind of looking for? Or are they looking for like an E&O insurance in that situation?
I think that's what it is. It's kind of like E&O, business operator insurance or whatever. So I never ended up going down that route after knowing all those factors. I just decided it was best to just focus on being an agent.
So do you ever get paid from a wholesaler though, for bringing a buyer to them, and how is that considered just commission in that situation?
No, I'd like to, but if I ever did that, EXP wouldn't know about it. Y'all didn't hear that. and it would be ran through my LLC. They'd be paying my LLC. I wouldn't.
Like a consulting fee.
Yeah.
No, I've done that too. I mean, just to be open and everything. But yeah, I've done a marketing fee or a consulting fee,
right,
on the HUD. So,
gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, I guess you could probably take it as a retainer fee and probably still run it through EXP. I've never actually been down that road where I've received a fee from a wholesaler. Most of the time I just, I don't know. It'd be great if a wholesaler came back and was like, "Hey, I appreciate you bringing me a buyer. Here's a fee." They don't ever actually do that, at least in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, what I do actually is I'm looking at all the channels that the wholesalers post their properties, just no different than, I think what we all say about agents, right? Like there's a barrier of like very knowledgeable people and people who are not very knowledgeable. And so I'd say like 7 out of the 10 deals that I see from wholesalers never end up going through. So then once they've marketed these properties and let's say, 60, 90 days, I will call those homeowners to see if the property sold. And a lot of times it hasn't. So that's an opportunity for you to go in and add value. A lot of the wholesalers are not really good at understanding their numbers or the numbers that are real, true, like investor numbers. So they become almost like what an expired listing would be.
There you go. That person that was asking for more ways to get sellers, that's a good way to do it.
I've bought a few houses that way too. The last one I bought was from a wholesaler that just had it locked up way too high.
Yeah. Wow.
So, okay. Well, if there are no other questions, I'm going to let us get out of here. This was a phenomenal mastermind. I'm so happy that Jordan was able to move his day around to help us out. I know you are generally calling at this time, but we do meet every Tuesday, same time, 11 a.m. to 12. So if you ever want to come back, just hop in here. We won't require anything extra for you to be here, obviously. But yeah, I appreciate your time. And if anybody has any questions that weren't answered or that are, a little bit more express offer centric, I'm going to hang around here for the next couple of minutes, but do just want to say thank you and let you guys get back to your day.
Awesome. Leonie, I think that's how you say your name. Just a reminder, just message me if you want the scripts and I'll send them to you. You're welcome.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, Terrence.
No problem.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Terrence.
No, I appreciate you.